Just days after the devastating news of Scrappy's suicide attempt, Bambi has finally spoken out, leaving fans stunned. The rapper was found unconscious in his home, sparking an outpouring of concern from loved ones and supporters. In the wake of the tragedy, many had been waiting for Bambi's response, and now, she has broken her silence. Sources close to Bambi reveal she has been deeply affected by Scrappy's condition. Despite their painful past, she never wished for this to happen to him. In a heartfelt message, she urged fans to keep Scrappy in their prayers, hoping for his full recovery. But is this just an expression of concern, or could there be something deeper? Could Bambi still have lingering feelings for Scrappy? And most importantly, could this tragedy bring them back together? As we dive into Scrappy's emotional struggle, his current condition, and Bambi's reaction, one thing is clear: this story is far from over. Scrappy sat alone in his dimly lit room, the weight of his emotions pressing down on him like a crushing force. His phone buzzed incessantly, messages from friends, family, and fans pouring in, all asking the same thing: "Are you okay?" But none of them understood. None of them could feel the emptiness that had consumed him since Bambi left. Once full of energy and charisma, Scrappy now stared blankly at the walls, drowning in memories of the love he had lost. His mother, Mama D, had tried everything, calling, visiting, even forcing him to talk about his feelings, but nothing could break through his pain. The thought of Bambi moving on, living her life without him, tore him apart piece by piece. He had faced obstacles all his life, but this was a battle he didn't know how to fight. Speculation started when Scrappy posted a cryptic message on social media: "Sometimes the pain is just too much." Fans were alarmed, friends reached out, but Scrappy remained silent. It wasn't until close friends revealed he had been struggling with deep depression that the severity of the situation became clear. Late one night, Scrappy made a call to Bambi. His voice trembled, raw with emotion. "I don't know how to do this without you," he admitted, his heart pounding. But Bambi, though sympathetic, remained firm. "Scrappy, we can't keep doing this. You need to find your peace, and I need to find mine." As the call ended, Scrappy sat there, phone in hand, shaking. He felt lost, broken beyond repair. And that was the moment he made a devastating decision, one that sent shockwaves through everyone who cared about him. The next morning, Scrappy's close friend, rapper Diamond, arrived at his home after receiving a series of concerning texts. What she found sent chills down her spine. Scrappy was barely conscious, his face pale, his body weak. Empty pill bottles lay scattered across the floor, a haunting testament to his despair. Panicked, Diamond immediately called 911, her hands trembling as she begged for help. Paramedics arrived within minutes, rushing Scrappy to the hospital. The news broke almost instantly, sending social media into a frenzy. #PrayForScrappy began trending, with fans and celebrities flooding timelines with messages of hope and support. Inside the hospital room, Scrappy lay unconscious, a machine monitoring his vitals. Mama D refused to leave his side, her hands clasped together in prayer. "Lord, don't take my baby," she whispered through tears. As hours passed, doctors worked tirelessly to stabilize him. The air was thick with tension, everyone waiting for a sign that Scrappy would pull through. And then, finally, there was movement. A slow blink. A faint whisper. Scrappy was waking up. The relief in the room was overwhelming, but the battle was far from over. Scrappy's road to recovery would be long and difficult. The emotional wounds ran deep, and the pain of losing Bambi still loomed over him like a dark cloud. But in that moment, surrounded by love and support, a flicker of hope emerged. Maybe, just maybe, he could find his way back. As news of Scrappy's hospitalization spread, fans and fellow artists continued to flood social media with messages of support. But there was one voice everyone was waiting to hear: Bambi's. Her silence only fueled speculation. Was she ignoring the situation? Did she not care? Or was she struggling with emotions she wasn't ready to share? It wasn't until late that evening that Bambi finally spoke. In a simple yet powerful Instagram post, she shared a black background with white text that read, praying for Scrappy, wishing him strength and healing. The internet erupted. Fans dissected every word, every emoji. Was this just a polite acknowledgement, or was there something more? Close friends revealed that Bambi had been devastated by the news. Despite their separation, she never wished harm upon Scrappy. Their relationship had been filled with love, passion, and struggle, and while their paths had diverged, the bond between them remained. Sources claimed that Bambi had been trying to reach out to Scrappy's family, desperate for updates on his condition. Mama D, despite past tensions, welcomed her concern. Right now, all that matters is Scrappy's health. If Bambi wants to pray for him, let her. He needs all the love he can get, she reportedly told a close friend. Public reaction was mixed. Some praised Bambi for her maturity and compassion, while others accused her of hypocrisy. Where was this energy when Scrappy was begging to work things out? One comment read, "Too little, too late," said another. But others defended her, arguing that no one should wish harm upon another. The controversy deepened when an old video resurfaced of Scrappy confessing that Bambi had been his one true love. In an emotional interview recorded months before their split, Scrappy had broken down in tears, admitting that losing Bambi was his biggest regret. "I just wish things were different. I still love her," he had said. With emotions running high, fans began to speculate, could this tragedy bring them back together? Was this the moment they needed to realize they still belonged to each other? As Scrappy slowly regained consciousness, his first words stunned everyone in the hospital room. "Where's Bambi?" he whispered, his voice weak but urgent. Mama D's eyes welled up with tears. "She's praying for you, baby," she told him, squeezing his hand. A single tear slipped down Scrappy's cheek. He had almost lost everything, his life, his family, his chance at redemption. But in that moment, all he could think about was Bambi. Did she still care? Would she ever forgive him? And most importantly, was there still a future for them? Meanwhile, Bambi was fighting her own internal battle. Friends revealed she had been breaking down in private, overwhelmed with guilt. What if I had just answered his call? What if I had been there for him? She reportedly confided in a close friend. But deep down, she knew she couldn't change the past. The only thing she could do now was support Scrappy in his healing journey. As the world watched with bated breath, one question remained: would this near-tragic event reunite Scrappy and Bambi, or was it simply a painful reminder of a love that could never be rekindled? Only time would tell. But one thing was certain, this was a love story unlike any other, and the world wasn't ready to look away just yet. Mama D gasped, gripping Scrappy's hand tighter. "Baby, can you hear me?" she whispered, her voice trembling. Slowly, weakly, Scrappy's eyes fluttered open. He blinked, his vision blurry, his head pounding. He tried to speak, but his throat was dry, his voice barely a whisper. Mama D let out a sob of relief, pressing a kiss to his forehead. "Thank you, Jesus," she cried. But Scrappy's gaze shifted, searching the room for someone else. "Bambi," he murmured. Mama D hesitated. How could she tell him that Bambi wasn't there? That she was dealing with her own emotions, choosing to pray from afar instead of coming to the hospital? Before she could answer, the door creaked open. There she was. Bambi stood in the doorway, her face unreadable. Their eyes met, and for a moment, time seemed to stand still. Then, slowly, she stepped forward, the soft click of her heels echoing against the hospital floor. She stopped beside the bed, looking down at him, her lips pressed into a thin line. "Why, Scrappy?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "Why would you do this?" Scrappy swallowed hard, his emotions raw. "Because I don't know how to live without you." Tears welled in Bambi's eyes, but she quickly wiped them away. "You have to find a way," she said firmly. "Because this isn't the answer." The room fell silent, the weight of their past, their pain, their love thick in the air. Mama D stepped back, letting them have their moment. Scrappy reached for Bambi's hand, but she hesitated before finally letting him touch her. I didn't want you to go through this alone, she admitted. I was scared. I didn't know if I should come, but I knew I had to pray for you. Scrappy's grip tightened slightly. Do you still love me? Bambi exhaled, looking away. Scrappy, love isn't always enough. We both know that. Pain flashed in his eyes, but he nodded slowly. I just needed to hear it. Bambi sighed, finally squeezing his hand. Right now, all that matters is you getting better. One step at a time. Just then, the doctor entered, checking Scrappy's vitals. Bambi stepped back, watching in silence. She didn't know what the future held for them, but in that moment, one thing was clear: she wasn't ready to say goodbye to him. Not yet. Scrappy sat in his dimly lit room, the weight of his emotions pressing down on him like a crushing force. His phone buzzed constantly, messages from friends, family, and fans, everyone worried, everyone asking questions. But none of them understood. None of them could feel the emptiness that had consumed him since Bambi left. The once lively Scrappy, known for his energy and charisma, now stared blankly at the walls, drowning in memories of the love he had lost. Mama D had tried everything, calling, visiting, even forcing him to talk about his feelings. But nothing seemed to break through the pain. The thought of Bambi moving on, living her life without him, tore him apart. He had always been a fighter, battling obstacles, facing challenges head-on. But this? This wasn't a fight he knew how to win. The rumors started when Scrappy posted a cryptic message on social media. Sometimes, the pain is just too much. The internet erupted. Fans speculated, friends reached out, everyone desperate to know what was going on. But Scrappy remained silent. It wasn't until close friends revealed that he had been struggling with deep depression that the reality of the situation became clear. In the dead of night, Scrappy made a call to Bambi. His voice trembled. I don't know how to do this without you. Bambi, though sympathetic, remained firm. Scrappy, we can't keep doing this. You need to find your peace, and I need to find mine. The call ended, leaving Scrappy staring at his phone, his hands shaking. He felt lost. Broken. Beyond repair. That was the moment he made a decision, one that would send shockwaves through everyone who cared about him. The next morning, Scrappy's close friend and fellow rapper, Diamond, arrived at his home after receiving a series of concerning texts. What she found sent chills down her spine. Scrappy was barely conscious, his face pale, his body weak. Empty bottles littered the floor, a haunting testament to his despair. Panicked, Diamond immediately called 911, her hands trembling as she begged for help. Paramedics arrived within minutes, rushing Scrappy to the hospital. The news broke almost instantly. Social media exploded. #PrayForScrappy started trending, fans flooding timelines with messages of hope and support. The music industry, his friends, even his exes, came forward, expressing their concern and love. Inside the hospital room, Scrappy lay unconscious, machines beeping steadily. Mama D refused to leave his side, her hands clasped together in prayer. Lord, don't take my baby, she murmured, tears streaming down her face. The pain of watching her son in such a fragile state was unbearable. Hours passed. Doctors worked tirelessly to stabilize him. The tension in the air was suffocating, everyone waiting, hoping for a sign. Then, finally, a slow blink. A faint whisper. Scrappy was waking up. Bambi speaks out. While the world waited for updates, Bambi remained silent. Her social media had gone dark. Fans speculated, was she heartbroken? Was she guilty? Did she even care? Days later, she finally spoke. Going live on Instagram, Bambi appeared solemn, her eyes filled with emotion. I've been struggling to find the right words, she admitted, her voice shaking. This whole situation has been heartbreaking. No matter what's happened between us, I never wanted to see Scrappy in pain like this. She took a deep breath, wiping a stray tear from her cheek. I just want him to be okay. I've been praying for him, hoping he finds the strength to pull through. Because despite everything, Scrappy has a good heart. He's been through so much, and I know he can get through this too. The comment section flooded with messages. Some blamed her for his downward spiral. Others defended her, reminding everyone that breakups aren't easy, and no one person is responsible for someone else's struggles. Scrappy's close friends also spoke out. Mental health is serious, one friend posted. Scrappy needs support, not judgment. Let's lift him up, not tear anyone down. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, Bambi reached out privately. A source revealed she had called Mama D, asking for updates. She just wants to know he's okay, the source said. She may not be by his side, but she cares deeply. A second chance. Doctors confirmed Scrappy was stable, but needed rest. His journey to healing, both physically and emotionally, would take time. As he lay in his hospital bed, scrolling through countless messages of encouragement, a small smile crossed his lips. Maybe, just maybe, he wasn't as alone as he thought. His journey wasn't over. And with so many people rooting for him, there was still hope for a brighter future.